With that said, we got this young man who did a fantastic job last week. I mean, I was just blown away. I mean, how do you get better than that? Identity, what was it called? Identity crisis. My God, did he bring it? I can't wait to hear what today's going to be about. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, he's hails from Southern California. He's one of the great leaders we have down there. His organization expanded outside of that area. He got started with our company. He's a full-time regional director. He's an analyst. Saw more potential in this than that. And also, he's a great father. I have a great deal of respect for. His daughter, I've been watching through the years grow, 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 grow. We are a family. Without further ado, let's give a warm welcome to Regional Director, the one and only incomparable Mr. Julian Lewis.
Sir, good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be on this morning. I'm excited to be on. I can't wait to share with you what I have to share with you this morning. It ties into everything that we've been talking about. But before I get into the information, I just want to thank Mr. Thomas just for being the man that he is. I know everyone in Fresno was excited to see you. Casey wanted to surprise you. He said he saw, and he had his new IBO signed up yesterday. He wanted to let you know that. So yeah, so he's good to go. Building the business wherever Mr. Thomas goes, he makes it easy because he's been doing this for a while. And if you don't know that, I recommend going to Jabri Clemens' Instagram page. He has a vintage video of Mr. Thomas doing a training back in the 80s. I need you guys to go check that out. It's amazing. And here's why he's so amazing. Same energy back then as today. And it's just a testament to who you are. And I appreciate it. Appreciate everything you do for us. Mr. Thomas, thank you. And ladies and gentlemen, for those of you that don't know me, just to give you a brief background, prior to getting involved with this company, I was a senior systems engineer. I was working roughly 80 to 90 hours a week at my job. I was averaging 50 to 60 flights a year, which put me in a situation where I was beyond busy. I really didn't have a lot of time for myself or my family, but good fortune came my way when I was introduced to this company. I was open-minded to take a look, and I was excited to get involved because there was a system, and it had an opportunity for someone as busy as me to leverage that system and build something around my crazy schedule. And in 6 months of building it part-time, being coachable, it enabled me to come home to my family and become the type of father that I felt my daughter deserved, which was present. And so that's my story. What I get to do today is talk to you a little bit about making new things habitual. So we talked about identity crisis last week. We talked about how some people, they want to do big things, but those big things aren't in alignment with their identity, their current identity, which means that they struggle to keep up with the new thing that they want to do. Whether that's ACN, whether that's becoming fit, what happens is because you didn't create habits that support your new self, you continue to fall back to the habits that support the old self. So if you ever wonder why it feels like gravity or you keep being pulled back to the old ways, is because everything in your life support the habits of the old self. So you need to be able to create habits that support who you want to be. And this is where people have a difficult time understanding how to create new habits. And so we do something called habit stacking. I've been doing it for a very, very, very long time. It's what allows me to be the fit me, not the old me. It's allowed me to be in production when most people aren't. It's enabled me to have success in new endeavors right out of the gates. And so I want to bless you guys with this, because this, if you can really get this, it will change everything. I don't care how old you are. I don't care if you're 18. I don't care if you're 80. Most people in this country have not figured this out. And it's the reason why get rich quick schemes run amok. It's the reason why get six pack in 6 minutes run amok. None of those things work. But I want you to write this down and remember this. You cannot optimize that which you're not already doing. You cannot optimize that which you're not already doing. And that's the biggest mistake that most people make. So they want to become a top producer. They don't produce. So you know what they try to do? Optimize what they're not already doing. So they say, I'm going to go from 0 to 100. What do I mean by that? I'm going to do 50 calls a day. I'm just going to muscle through and do 50 calls a day. Those 50 calls a day are so far removed from your current identity that you won't be able to stay there. And then on top of that, you get discouraged because now you feel like a failure because you couldn't get to a top producer level. How are you going to get to a top producer level before you even learn how to produce? How are you going to qualify 100 people if you can't qualify one? So what we're going to talk about is how to stack the habits properly so that you can get into the type of success that you want, not just in ACN, but this is what I use in every aspect of my life, guys. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play a quick video that talks about it. It's only a little more than 4 minutes. And then after the video, we're going to break down some habits that you can do. So you guys ready?
According to research by the Stanford psychologist, Dr. BJ Fogg, in order to create a new habit, you need to make it as small and easy as possible. That's why he actually wrote a book called Tiny Habits. James Clear actually wrote a book based on BJ's research called Atomic Habits, meaning breaking the habit down to the smallest possible way. So the easiest way to make a habit is doing two things. One is what's called habit stacking, where you attach the habit you want to a habit you already have or a routine you have. So for example, if you want to floss your teeth, which is a habit that a lot of people want to do, it's really difficult to start a habit from scratch, but it's easy to bolt on or stack that habit onto something you're already doing. There's a lot of habits you already have. So for example, chances are you already brush your teeth every single day. And so habit stacking would say, if you want to start flossing, stack it or attach it to a habit that's already in place. So that's step one, is habit stacking. And there's a lot of different applications to habit stacking. For example, if you want to be more abundant or happy, then one of the things that BJ Fogg recommends is as soon as your feet hit the floor when you're getting out of bed, which is a habit that happens every single day you get out of bed. And so you might as well stack a habit that puts you into a positive frame of mind, because there's obviously a lot of research that shows that positive emotions lead to positive outcomes, gratitude, etc. And so what BJ recommends is developing the habit of every time your feet hit the floor, saying in your mind, it's going to be a good day, or saying out loud, it's going to be a good day. So you want to just think, what are the habits I actually want, and where's the most logical place I could stack those to a habit that already exists? You could put literally a book on the back of your toilet. You're going to go to the bathroom on a regular basis, so that could be a time when you read for 5 or 10 minutes. Whatever it is you want. I know I come home from work every single day. I walk in every single day from work into my house. And so I could ask myself, what's an obvious, easy habit I could stack onto that habit that's already in place? So that's number one, stack your habits to something else. Number two, which is crucial to habit development, is making the habit as small as possible, reducing the friction as possible. Both BJ in his book Tiny Habits and James Clear in Atomic Habits break this down as far as you want to remove all friction. So one of the things that James says in his book, which is really brilliant, is you cannot optimize that which you're not already doing. A lot of people want to have an optimal habit, and so they want to start with unrealistic expectations. What the research on habits shows is no, start really small. So if you want to go to the gym, for example, rather than having the goal be to go and have a 60-minute workout, actually, this is for someone who's not going to the gym, then just have the goal literally be to drive to the gym, and that's it. You could drive to the gym and turn around and call that a success. If you want to be a reader, rather than saying you're going to read a whole book this week, literally just start by saying, I'm going to read one sentence of a book. If you want to start doing push-ups, just do one. If you want to be a writer, just write one sentence. If I want to make a video, and I've actually been applying this to making videos, I just set a 60-second timeline. I just say I want to make a 60-second short. I know I can make a 60-second video, and so that is how I go about it. My goal is just to make a 60-second video. It's very low friction, very easy. So you want to have your habits be small, and you want them to be very doable. There's a lot of research behind why this works. Number one, once you actually start doing something, taking the initial action is usually the hardest part, and so you want to optimize for the beginning. And so getting yourself to actually just do the smallest possible thing creates a little bit of confidence. Confidence is the byproduct of performance. And so just by simply getting down and doing one push-up, you actually did do some performance, which builds your confidence, and confidence creates momentum, and momentum is the most powerful force as far as human motivation and behavior. And so once you've got a little bit of confidence and a little bit of momentum, then your motivation actually increases to do more. So action creates motivation. And so by just breaking things down and making them very small, very easy, very doable, and by stacking your habits to routines that you're already doing, you can engineer the habits you want. That's habit stacking and tiny habits basically simplified and explained. I'm Dr. Benjamin Hardy. Hope you enjoyed this video.
All right, did you guys like that? Okay, so here's the trick. Well, here's the mistake. The mistake is people think about what they want. So let's say I want to be a top producing, let's say your goal is to be a top producing executive team leader, if you're an executive team leader right now, or your goal is to be a top producing regional coordinator, if that's where you are right now. So people will say, well, how much does a top producing regional coordinator produce? And then you start asking around and you see that a top producing regional coordinator is qualifying 20 people a month. And so you say, okay, I need to qualify 20 people a month, but you don't even bring in 5 people a month. And so now you start setting up all these really, really big things you need to do, which are going to become new habits, setting up huge new habits that have a lot of friction, that are completely out of your normal routine. And then you attempt to continue these new habits. They knock your entire life out of whack. And what happens is you can't do it. You quit. You succumb to your old ways, your old habits. And the reason being is because it was too ambitious. And most people do that because they don't understand how to create habits. You create them by starting out small. So for instance, when I started running, this was years ago, I decided I wanted to get back into shape. This is my early 30s. I'm like, okay, I'm going to start running because I hated running. So I wanted to build my mindset as well as start to burn some calories. So I remember reading a book. This is years ago, guys. The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. And he said, just run as much as you can. If you want to run a mile, run as much as you can, and then run, walk until you get to a mile. Next day, run as much as you can, run, walk till you get to a mile. And so I would do that. And instead of saying, I'm going to run a mile today, which was way too much for what I could do back then, I ran as much as I could. And then I walk, ran. And because I didn't pressure myself, what happened is I started to be able to run the entire mile. And then I said, how far can I go doing this? And I ran past the mile. And then I said, okay, I'm going to do 2 miles. So I would run past the mile to the point where I was exhausted. And then I would run, walk to the end of the second mile. To the point, guys, in my early 30s, I started running 6 miles a day because I built up the habit. Now, the gateway habit was just deciding I was going to run as much as I could. Not that I was going to run a mile, but that I was going to run as much as I could. I'm going to share with you another example. When I started out jumping rope, doing the weighted rope, I was in pretty good shape. So I said, I'm going to start out with 15 minutes of jump rope. And here's what I did. I jumped as much as I could. Now, I didn't have my coordination as great yet, and my conditioning was good, but the time under tension, because it was weighted, all of a sudden I started getting this burning sensation in my shoulders. But because it was weighted, it was also hitting me in my back, everywhere. It lights up a lot of different muscles. And so even though I planned to do 15 minutes, I could do only about 5 minutes of continuous jumping. And then I did the exact same thing. I decided, and here's why I'm telling you this. What I really decided to do was 5 minutes of rope. The rest of it, I didn't look at it as the habit. It was just the 5 minutes. but I scheduled 15, right? So I would go 5 minutes, and then every single minute to the 15 would go as much as I could, then rest, go as much as I could and rest until I got to 15. And here's what happened. Over time, I was able to do the entire 15 minutes until the point where I was able to do 30 minutes straight, to the point where I was able to do 60 minutes of jump rope straight with a 3-pound weighted rope. People look at the fact that I can go 60 minutes with a 3-pound rope as insane. But no one would look at doing a 1-pound rope for 5 minutes as insane. I mean, maybe some people would, but most people wouldn't. And so they don't realize that I was able to get to the 60 by creating a gateway habit that didn't wreck my current routines. Okay. Now, how do you apply that to ACN? People get fired up. They go to an international event, or they go to a regional event, and they get fired up. They see these top producers saying, yeah, you know what I do is I do 50 calls a day. And they get fired up. And they're like, oh my gosh, he's so amazing. I'm going to do 50 calls a day. And in their excitement in that arena with all that energy, guess what? They actually believe they're going to do it. So they get fired up, hyped up, ready to go. I'm going to do 50 calls a day. And they do a power hour with their team at the event where they actually do 50. And they're like, yes, I can do this. I just did it. I'm a G. I'm a gangster, if you don't know what G is. So they go back home and they're like, I'm ready. I'm doing 50 a day, every day. I'm going to be just like that guy who got me hyped up. And their old routine sucks them back to who they really are. And then guess what? They get discouraged. And they say, maybe I'm not cut out to be a top producer, like top producer guy who was on stage. Maybe I'm not built for this business. Maybe I am supposed to be a corporate American. Maybe, and they start to do all these things because their brain is saying, whoa, what the heck are you doing? This is not what we do. My job is to keep you efficient. We already had routines. We had food, we had water, we had shelter. That's how your brain thinks. We're already efficient. Whatever you're doing right now is taking us out of whack, and it's making me focus on my energy more because now I have to think instead of being on autopilot. See, the reason why you stack new small habits to existing habits because your brain doesn't have to think much. So when I wanted to start doing, check this out, 100 push-ups a day, I knew that I could muscle out 100 push-ups. I know it. I know my frame. I know what I can do. But I also know my habits. I know by the end of those 100 push-ups, my mind is going to tell me, bro, what are you doing? Who are you really trying to prove something to? And my mind would fight me. So guess what? It would be hard to keep that. So you know what I did? Make it small and easy. I'm going to do 5 sets of 10 or 10 sets of 5 push-ups. 5 push-ups is nothing for me. So I get down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, breathe for 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I blow through 50 push-ups. Nothing. I don't even have to think about it. But what I really did was I stacked that habit on my existing workout. So now every single time I do a workout, I get excited to do my 10 sets of 5 because it's easy. And I realize it's actually strengthening my muscles. So I told you guys I wanted to do 100. So what's up with this 10 sets of 5? Well, after I did that for a week, I added 1 more. So the next week, I did 10 sets of 6. Looks like 60 push-ups to me. Then the next week, I added 1 more. And it was just as easy as doing the 5. Are you guys getting this? I stacked it, exactly, Sam. And then I did 1 more until I got to 100. 10 sets of 10. Now 10 sets of 10 felt like the 10 sets of 5. And it's a habit. It's a habit. And so other people look at me and like, bro, you're like beast mode. No, I know how my brain works. You guys, when you're creating a new habit, I get that leaders want you to, like, if you have a mentor, they want you to crush it in the business. And sometimes mentors don't even know that they're setting their team up for failure. Remember what I said in the beginning. You cannot optimize a habit that you're not already doing. So mentor comes in and says, Marla, we want to see you successful, girl. We want to see you as a top production. And and I'm just using you as an example. Let's just say, Marla, you're not even producing anything right now. You don't even know if you want to do ACN. You don't even know if it works. You see other people getting excited and you're like, are they really happy and excited? Are they, you start doing these things in your head, and I know it because I was there, right? So your mentor says, here's what we're gonna do. And they draw out a game plan and they say, all right, Marla, you're gonna contact 10 people a day. That's pretty small. Well, it's small for the top producer, but the top producer is trying to optimize a habit that Marla doesn't even have yet. And so guess what? You're setting Marla up for failure. You guys getting this? So what makes more sense? Marla, here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna tap in with you each day. What's a great time where you have 5 minutes free each day? And Marla says, in the morning after Mr. Thomas's call, I have 5 minutes free from about 9:30 to 9:35. All right, perfect. Here's all we're gonna do. After Mr. Thomas's call, which you're getting on every day, which means it's already a habit. Are you guys catching this? You guys are gonna love me for this. And you hear from amazing leaders like Jocelyn Driscoll and Nicole Woods, who'll be on tomorrow, and Mr. Sam Foster, Backbone and Posture. You get all of these great. Now, what happens at the end at 9:30? You're fired up. Like, your energy level is different. And so then what do? You make one call. Now, did I say you message one person? In other words, you connect, you reach out to one person. Now, did I say that they had to answer? Did I say you had to do? No, I said, just reach out. So what are you doing? You created a gateway habit that you stacked on. And what does it mean? That means now you're used to making a call at the end of every Al Thomas call. So then what does that also do? It associates being fired up. You guys, I hope you guys are gonna love me for this. Fired up with making calls. That's the habit you're creating. I'm fired up. It's time to call. And now when that call becomes consistent and you look forward to the end of the call with Al Thomas because you're about to make your call that you're fired up about, when that becomes a habit because you did that for a week, what do you do next week? Add one more. Now you're doing 2 calls a day. What do you do the next week? Add one more. Now you're doing 3 calls a day. Now, at the end of the month, if you did that for 4 weeks, you're doing 4 or 5 calls, depending upon how you add, right? And so, but what is that really, Marla? That's 5 calls a day with the right energy. So you're conditioning yourself to create doing ACN as a lifestyle. Here's why I'm saying that. Because you always hear leaders say, ACN is a lifestyle. But no one really breaks that down. So you're like, oh, I want ACN as a lifestyle. Like, what do I do? Do I put it on like clothes? Like, how does it become a lifestyle? Like, I want it to be a lifestyle. I want money to just come from ACN as a default, as a byproduct of my lifestyle. Who wouldn't want that, right? Who wouldn't want a lifestyle where the byproduct of just living is money coming into your account? We'd all want it. The problem is the old you doesn't create that. So you have to identify what the new you looks like. And then you have to stack small habits that create the new support for your new self so that you don't slide back to the old because you replace the old habits with the new ones, starting with stacking. You guys get that? Who thinks that's really clear? Okay, so here's what that means. If you don't do it, I can't help you. You know what you want. You know how to get it done right now. And remember, this ties back to what I trained on last week. I wanted to break down the process of the identity shift. And this is the process to getting you to that new you. So with that being said, Mr. Thomas, I'm done. I appreciate all of you for jumping on, and I'm excited for you to stack. I'm also excited to get messages from those of you who, when the call's over, actually made that one call or reached out, because I know it's in you to be a top producer. You know it's in you, or you wouldn't be on this call, and you deserve it. So I want to see it happen for you and your family. Mr. Thomas, the call is yours.